Welcome everyone. This is the second part of the introduction to Japanese wiki of Kamihime Project. If you haven't checked out the first video yet, make sure to do so. I left a link to it in the description. In this part I'm going to cover for the more in-depth parts of the game that can be looked up here at the Japanese wiki. Now first of all we go to the game specification calculation formula section. Here you will be able to look up stuff like what value gets displayed at the top left of your menu in the game, what stats get displayed for your units at the edit page, and how the game calculates your in-battle HP, dealt normal attack damage, burst damage, and burst streak damage, stuff like that. Moving on to ability damping value. Here you will be able to look up the ability caps, as well as you can see here the normal attack cap and the burst cap. Now these caps are actually soft caps, which means that they can be exceeded, but the part that goes above the cap will get a 10% nerf. So here we have Arthur. Her nuke apparently has a 300,000 cap. So say if you originally dealt 400,000 damage, then you are exceeding the cap by 100,000, which means that that part gets nerfed to its 10%, so you will exceed the cap by only 10,000 in the end. So you are actually hitting for 310,000 damage. So here you can see the caps to the souls first, and then the SSR Kamihimes, and lower you will also see the SR Hime caps, Hime ability caps. Note that these values are not always confirmed, so if you see something like unknown in brackets, then that means that this value is not confirmed, so make sure to pay attention to that. Moving on, we are coming to the quest section. Here you will be able to look up the details about the various non-event quests, like raid battle. This is going to give information about the disaster and catastrophe fights. Also note that the Japanese side recently got the high Ragnaroks introduced, which means that our currently known Ragnaroks got degraded to ultimate difficulty. So if you want to look up, say, the fire Ragnarok that hopefully gets introduced to the Nutaku side as well, then you will have to look at the ultimate section right here, and here is the one for the high Ragnarok recently introduced, and same applies to the other elements. Moving on, we have guild order. This is going to be a future stuff implemented with the Eidolon shop. This is going to be a quest that you can do once a day, and you will have to do missions for these rewards. The most noteworthy is the Orichalcum reward, which will be a material for final limit break. Moving on to accessory quest. Here only one thing noteworthy is that if you click on this drop down menu, you will also see information about the mobs and the mid boss. Now moving on to weapon section, here we got weapon limit breaking through. You will be able to look up information about the final limit break here, like what it actually does, what are the material requirements for them, and what weapons got what kind of final limit break. So for some clarification, Shenlong Eye Exchange weapon is actually Himala's weapon. Shinki Liberation weapon is actually Himerui's weapon. Purgatory Fighting weapon is Union weapon, and Discanding Fighting weapon is Advent weapon. And no, there is no available final limit break for raid weapons. Now let's move on to Shinki Good Weapon Reverse List. As silly as it sounds, this is actually the preferred weapons of Kamihime's. Now how this works, I'm going to explain it through an example. So here is Ares, and she prefers swords. Now what happens if you equip to your grid a sword with 100 HP and 2000 attack stat? As she prefers it, she will have 1.2 times multiplier on the stats, which means that she will actually get 120 HP instead of 100 and 2.4 thousand attack stat instead of the 2000. And here you can see the weapons and what Himas of what element do prefer them. Moving on, we are going to have a look at the experience table. Here you can look up the experience needed for the souls, the Kamihimas, the weapons, Eidolons, and so on, so on. And finally, here is one last thing, the maintenance history. Here you will be able to look up what got implemented with which maintenance on the Japanese side, starting from the May of the previous year. So for example, if you come here and open this drop down menu, you will see the maintenances of the previous year's May and what they implemented with these maintenances. So this is about it for the introduction to the Japanese wiki of Kamihime Project. I hope this proves useful for you guys looking up information. And again, if you have any questions, I left a link to the Discord server of Kamihime Project. You can ask your questions there. See you guys in the next video.